We have a lot to chat about today. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it rage-inducing. So we'll see how it goes today.
It's mostly good. It's mostly good.
Agreed. Depends on your point of view, but agreed. Mostly.
From a certain point of view. Let's see. So we're going to be talking about some of our favorite games today. We're going to be talking about Space Marine 2, Helldivers 2, and Warhammer 40k Tabletop. Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we are twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 89. Today's recording date is October 19th, and this episode will be released on Monday, October 21st. Today, we're going to be discussing everything Andrew just said, balance updates for Warhammer Tabletop, Helldivers 2, and Space Marine 2. But first, we're going to start off with our starter question. Andrew, go ahead and hit us with that.
So since it is October and Halloween's coming up, what is a scary story? It has to be a real story that has actually happened that legitimately freaks you out.
So for me, it's definitely anything that is like a Lost at Sea story. I don't know if you remember watching the History Channel too much, but for me, it was like anything that had to do with the Bermuda Triangle really freaked me out. I was like, whoa, that's so weird. And they're like, the Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle. And you're like, why is it called that? And then you realize there's just an abnormal number of shipwrecks there. And like, I don't believe in like the Loch Ness Monster or like Kraken or anything, but I do believe in man's ability to weave fantastical tales about ships lost at sea. And I think it's just an area that's probably plagued by really bad weather. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't like this.
It's probably something totally innocuous that has nothing superstitious or dangerous or fantastical going on about it. But it's a little freaky.
Could just be really good pirates.
Or a ton of pirates. Yeah. The ocean is terrifying. That is where all the monsters live. When my wife and I were dating, she asked me, she gives me guff about this, and I still stand by my answer. She goes, what's your biggest fear? You know, we're kind of in the getting to know you phase of dating, and she's like, you know, one of my greatest fears is being alone and being separate, and you know, which I think is totally legitimate. Like loneliness, like, can be a real burden and can really just like crush some people. And I answered dead serious, and I was like, the ocean really terrifies me. And she's like, are you serious? I gave like a really emotional, deep answer, and you say the ocean? And I was like, no, I'm not kidding. It really freaks me out. It's like a primal fear.
That is a very deep fear, literally.
And I told her, and it sounds like a joke, but I was not joking. I said, I don't like the ocean. That's where the real monsters live. And she's like, you're not taking this serious. I'm like, I am. I promise I'm taking this serious. That is my first.
You're like, you're not taking this serious, but okay.
No, that would have been a very funny answer, but I did not say that.
All right, guys, before we get into our main discussion here, we just want to make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to follow the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever you guys get your podcasts. If you guys are worried about anything happening in Helldivers 2 or Space Marine 2, there's a chance we might talk about something that like happens in the campaign. So consider this a very light sprinkling of a spoiler warning, but like really it's like the game's been out long enough. You should be used to it by now. So
we were talking about Space Marine 2 first.
Space Marine 2. So I have a lot of tabs pulled up today, as per usual. So we are going to be talking about the new update that just happened on Space Marine 2. You guys can find the patch notes over here, over on store.steampowered.com. I really like finding a lot of my notes over on Steam because they usually keep it pretty like short and sweet update list when they go through everything. So we're going to be reading off that quite a bit here today. So we are on Patch Notes 4.0, new content for operations. So lots of fun stuff here today. Some of it not so fun, depending on how good you are at the game. So we're going to go through these. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns about anything, make sure you guys throw those into the comments as we are going through. So, one new thing we did get with the update is we did get a new operation, which is called Termination. This new operation takes place on the planet Kadaku. New dreadful foes have arrived. Make good use of your artillery to annihilate them. Huge fan of artillery. Always a fan of that. I have not played this operation yet. Andrew, have you gotten to play it yet?
I have not. Since I last played slash streamed Space Marine, actually, I played it earlier this week, so I haven't streamed it, I feel like, in a while. Or did I stream it on Wednesday? I don't remember what I did on Wednesday. But basically, the update went live right after I was done. And I was like, son of a gun.
Missed it by that much.
I missed it by that much. No, I did stream Space Marine 2 on Wednesday. If you guys want to catch us over on Twitch, that was super fun because I played with some members of our Patreon on the stream, and it was super fun. I played with Management Slug and Combrew, and it was awesome. And you?
I was there too for a brief period of time. It was a later stream, so I had to hop off because I was literally like my eyes were closing as we were going through. So that was fun.
Yeah. Oh, it went past my bedtime, but it was super fun. But I did not get to face the Hierophant.
Oh, gotcha.
Sad beans. So they added a lethal difficulty for operations. This is big. I've seen a ton of people, and this is one of the things we talked about with Jefficus in our interview, is that people were maxing out the operations who got early Steam keys to the game for like review copies and things like that. People were maxing out the operations. They're like, yeah, I have a max level heavy, a max level bulwark, and pretty much everything else all ready to go. And I'm playing it on solo on the hardest difficulty. And right away, the devs were like, okay, well, we're going to release a higher difficulty. So I think this is really good. We saw a very similar thing in Helldivers 2, where they're like, okay, people have mastered the game. We're going to turn it up to 11, or in this case, 10 Super Helldive. For Space Marine 2, it is the lethal difficulty for operations. The major highlights, here are some key differences. Ammo crates have limited refills per player. This is a big difference for me, who is rocking the heavy right now, who sits by the ammo crate with a Melta or Plasma and just goes bananas on enemies he really shouldn't be wasting Melta shots on.
Yeah, that's one way to deal with it.
When like a bunch of Trader Guardsmen run through, it's really hard for me not to just vaporize them all in one shot. It feels great.
Absolutely.
So with that, you have to be a little bit more conservative with your ammo. That's something we've kind of always talked about with Space Marine 2. You have to be conservative with your ammo, and lethal difficulty is going to be no exception. Majoris enemies can now become enraged and will be more deadly and harder to kill. I don't know what this is going to look like. I kind of imagine it as like when the brutes from Halo 2, when you would shoot their little helmets off and they would go into full monkey mode and like charge at you. I imagine that's what it's going to be like. Armor restores from finishers only if you stay close to your battle brothers. So cohesion is important. If you guys are veterans of Darktide, you'll know that staying close to your squad is really important, and lethal difficulty is going to reiterate that and pound that home. Because a huge concept for Warhammer 40,000 is cohesion. Your squad is not just a bunch of armored men running around on their own. It is a squad moving seamlessly together through the battlefield, and lethal difficulty is going to reward you for doing that. And then the reward for lethal difficulty is overcoming such a challenge will grant you new cosmetics. That's a huge bonus, because then that allows you to save your gold or whatever it's called, Imperial credits or whatever, to use on tactical upgrades and not cosmetics.
Very cool. We also have an added photo mode in operation. This only works in solo mode. Characters can now follow the camera with their eyes as well. I am not somebody who uses photo mode that much, although I feel like I should, because it would probably make super cool thumbnails. So
yes,
that would probably be a good idea. We also got a lot of gameplay and balancing tweaks. So we'll go over some of these here really quick here, guys, from the Steam page. Melee archetypes, fencing weapons, perfect parry window will now have the same duration as balanced weapons, but it will start from the first frame of parry animation. I don't know how that changes because I'm not entirely sure what the fencing weapon is. I'm assuming that's like the power sword. Like, what does that even mean?
I believe so, and I believe so. The faster weapons are the fencing weapons. So I think the combat knife is one of them. Again, I'm totally speaking out of my ass here. I have no idea which ones are parry and which ones aren't, because I've been sitting pretty comfortably into the ranged classes and not really diving into the melee combat all that much. To be fair, my most leveled character is the bulwark, and then I switched over to the heavy, and I'm like, ooh, I like this better.
Yeah. We also got some melee perks, the chainsword, power fist, and combat knife. All of their charged attacks will get significant damage increases. Then
Which
we
feels good.
start to get into some nerfs. So the basic Auspex scan, damage bonus on bosses, reduced by 30%.
If I can say, so I've been seeing clips of people who were doing the Helldrake mission. They were throwing an Auspex scan onto the Helldrake, and they were basically killing it right away. Like, they were killing it. They're just immediately. They weren't having to do multiple rounds or anything. That's not how it's intended.
Right, it's supposed to take multiple times to get it because it's a boss fight.
Yeah, it's a boss fight, and they were just like, oh, you're dead. Which definitely reminded me of like Borderlands 3, where like people would have these like super optimized builds, and they're like, oh, watch me kill this boss super quick, and farm legendaries. Which I definitely had a couple characters where I did that, and I would just respawn and I would kill the boss and I would get a bunch of legendaries, and it was just these just back to back dopamine hits, and I was like, this is amazing. Anyway, I'm so excited for Borderlands 4, but that's not what we're here for.
There's a Borderlands 4.
There is a Borderlands 4.
Hopefully it's not garbage like Borderlands 3.
Borderlands 3 was fun.
No, it was too much of a grind. They
Oh,
made that game too big, too quick, and it wasn't rewarding enough.
But I like the grind. I like the grind, sir. Gotcha.
A lot of people really liked it. I didn't like Borderlands 3. I was very disappointed about it. We also got a melted charge nerf to bosses by 70%. This was probably along the same lines. You can't kill the boss in one hit. That's not fair. Enemy spawn director changes in PvE. They've tweaked some idle spawns. Enemy variety within waves is now less random, while enemy variety between waves is bigger. And extremist enemies can now spawn with additional enemies. So that's cool.
Great.
Damn it. Another change we have is changes to difficulty. In the Ruthless difficulty, ammo crates will have limited refills per player, and in that same difficulty category, players' armor is reduced by 15%. For players like me, who is still, like, I haven't actually played that much of this game yet, this sucks. I'm like, no, please don't make me weaker. I'm so bad at this.
But by the time you build up to Ruthless, you'll be ready for it. You won't even notice.
A quick note from the devs as well. With patch 3, we've noticed that operations became noticeably easier, especially chaos operations. We are happy with what we have right now compared to what we had in release, because before patch 3, chaos missions were unpopular. Still, we think that currently operations mode is still a bit too easy. Overall, these changes are going to make operations mode harder, but it is difficult to measure by how much. We will continue to monitor these changes and will continue to adjust the balance of operations mode. This is not the last change. So,
it's a good note. I definitely felt it was significantly easier when I was playing. Because I was technically playing on patch 3.
Oh, gotcha.
PvP, just a quick couple notes on PvP and AI. So starting on player versus player, they have increased the delay between announcer messages and PvP. So apparently in Eternal War, the announcer was talking too much. The starting animation of the grapnel launcher for the Vanguard is shorter in PvP, which is great because it's a little slow, and that kind of few frames of being kind of stuck in this animation is a good way to get killed.
Yep.
And then they also fixed the power fist in dealing too much damage with short charged attacks. So it sounds like some people found an exploit where they basically found a way to deal maximum damage in the shortest amount of time, and we're just going around and fisting their opponents.
Yep.
There's no other way to say that, and I will not fix it. AI, some
Not going to change it in post either.
some changes to the AI. Enemy dodges globally replaced full invulnerability on dodge moves of enemies with heavy melee damage resistance. So they don't have iframes, invincibility frames, for those who don't know what that means. The Rubric Marine with bolt gun disengaged teleport max distance is slightly reduced. So they're not just going to bolt off to the middle of nowhere. They will stay closer, which is good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Some more customization changes. There's more options for color customization for Chaos, tertiary colors, Sotek green, Night Lord's blue, Death Guard green, and Corn red. Yay, we love those. Some decal colors available, Sotek green and Corn red. Colors added Liberator gold color to default for primary and secondary color palettes. Fixed a lot of issues with displaying of colors. Now they seem to be lore accurate. Mechanica standard gray, Ushabti bone, Phoenician purple, the Fang, Iron Hand steel, Retributor armor. Basically, all the colors in the game are meant to represent the colors from the actual paint palettes for Warhammer Tabletop, because everything for Warhammer is meant to sell other Warhammer products. So that's where we're at. And there's new decals. Added new Chaos Faction decals for the right shoulder. Pretty cool.
For those of you who watched our stream on Wednesday, they'll notice that I have the 8-pointed star on most of my armors. So I've been running around with a chaosy boy. So that's been super, super fun. On the level Vox Liberatus, the demon host has disabled respawn until the last altar in the final arena. So it's a little bit easier, I think. General fixes. They fixed a bug where the assault perk Ascension could kill its owner. Hilarious. There was a sniper perk targeted shot. Wasn't always working in some cases. I'm not going to read all these. You know what? You guys can read these bug fixes. I don't think these warrant going through line by line. It's mostly just perks not triggering properly. I don't know what any of these mean anyway.
Yeah, there's some minor UI fixes and improvements, stuff like that. There's some fixes in tech with some crashes and stability, and some general improvement and fixes to render improvements. So cool. Nice and easy. Next, guys, we're going to move on to some Helldiver news. So we got a Helldivers patch as well. So lots of fun stuff coming through here. This patch was
so good. Have you played it at all?
No, not yet. So this patch is considered to be pretty good because things are getting buffed again. So we're going to go through these. There's a lot of notes. So we're going to go through these pretty damn quick. So Andrew, I'm going to go down to the balancing area because I think that's what people really care about. So these are the general changes here. Additional supply items are now visible on the minimap, so you can find support stratagems and exosuits, which is super nice. They also removed ricochets from orbital stratagem projectiles, Eco 1 bombs, and FAF-14 spear missiles. They can no longer ricochet off targets. Wild.
Thank goodness. Gosh.
Wild stuff. We also have some Helldiver armor tweaks. Both heavy and light armor are now more effective, which is good because I felt like they were made of paper. Heavy armor reduces damage taken by 25%, which is a 5% increase in damage reduction, if that makes sense. So it's 5% better at reducing damage. Light armor increases damage taken by 25%, down from 33%, 8% less damage taken. Oh, because you gain a damage penalty because you're wearing light armor. So you're now taking 25% extra damage instead of 33% damage as your penalty.
Correct.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, why would you wear light armor? I die so much in Helldivers. I don't want to die more.
So, and then there's been some updates to armor penetration, which is huge. Like if you guys are playing on higher difficulties, armor penetration is everything. Stratagem and weapon tag description updates. They now show more information and are also categorized. Armor Pen 2 is classified as light armor penetration. Armor Pen 3 is medium. Armor Pen 4 is heavy. And Armor Pen 5 Plus is anti-tank.
That is super helpful to categorize those because I didn't have a good grasp of what that actually meant.
Yeah. Before it was numbers, and then they moved it to like light and medium, and now it's light, medium, heavy, anti-tank. which is super helpful.
We also have some changes on the primary weapons. Plasma projectile behaviors can be a little bit different. We standardized the behavior of plasma projectiles, which previously had varying characteristics in how they traveled through the air. Now, all plasma projectiles experience high drag, causing them to slow down faster. However, each plasma weapon still fires projectiles at different speeds and calibers, so the effective range will remain distinct. For most weapons, this change won't be very noticeable. So, cool. With the SG8P Punisher plasma, you will see a less pronounced arc in its projectile path. Instead, it will start off faster and lose speed more rapidly, keeping its effective range about the same. That's what we got for the plasma projectile.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot, because with the Punisher plasma, before you had to really lob it, and now what you're seeing is more of a straight line with a sharp drop off. The Purifier minimum charge of 0.1 seconds gives a 50% damage multiplier. So this is similar to the other plasma rifle, but it's the one you have to charge. So the maximum charge of 1 second gives a 100% damage multiplier. So the longer you charge it, the more damage it does. Makes sense. Maximum charge projectile damage increase from 100 to 200. So a big damage increase.
Yes.
Maximum charge projectile durable damage increased from 50 to 100 again, so more damage. Maximum charge explosion damage increased from 150 to 300. So basically it's doubled its different types of damages across the board. The explosion doesn't scale, but a fully charged shot has a different explosion effect. A minimum charge has a small radius, and a maximum charge has a much larger radius.
Which with way more damage. As it should.
Yes. And then this is probably my favorite update so far, is the Scorcher, which is already one of my favorite weapons. Has an auto fire mode, so it can go full auto, which is crazy. It has not a very big clip, so you just scream through it if you do this. It moved from a 250 to a 350 fire rate, so it shoots faster. Its mag size is up to 20 from 15. However, you're down a mag.
That sucks.
It is better. So its DPS is technically still higher, but you'll run out of ammo faster. And I found that while playing with it, I was running out of ammo more often with it.
Dang. We also have changes in the SG Punisher Plasma has reduced recoil and fire rate increased from 80 to 100. The AR-23 Liberator, horizontal recoil reduced by 30%. The AR-23 Liberator Carbine, horizontal recoil down by 30%, ergonomics increased from 65 to 70, reload duration decreased from 3 to 2.5 seconds. So overall, we're seeing weapon buffs kind of across the board so far, which is good.
And the Liberator Penetrator also saw the same horizontal recoil reduction, and increased in magazine size from 30 to 45, which is huge, but the spare magazines decreased from 10 to 7. The Adjudicator, horizontal recoil reduced by 30%. Projectile damage increased from 80 to 90. This is great. I thought the Adjudicator was a fine rifle. I liked it better than the Liberator, so having a damage increase is really good. Projectile durable damage increased from 16 to 23. I think this has to do with its armor penetration. I'm not 100% sure, but a damage increase is good. And then its magazine size from 25 to 30 is really good. It's a high fire rate weapon, so seeing that go up is really good.
In the AR-61 Tenderizer, we have a new weapon function where you can switch between 600 and 850 rounds per minute. That's wild. That's so many.
I have never used the Tenderizer.
I haven't either, but we might need to soon.
I have it unlocked. I've never used it.
Ooh, the Dominator moved from the explosive weapon category to the special weapon categories. That's very interesting. And then we move into sidearms. The Verdict increased its armor penetration from 2 to 3, which is good. Sidearms need to have better armor penetration, because if you're pulling out a sidearm in a conflict, ish is like in the process of hitting the fan. So having light armor penetration, moving up to moderate armor penetration, is literally going to save your life. So this is very good.
Yeah. Usually the times when I'm pulling out a sidearm is when a berserker is in my face, about to cut me in half with its chainsaw arm. So yeah, Give me the armor penetration.
Projectile durable damage for the verdict is increased from 13 to 32, and stagger strength increased from 13 to 15. So that's very good.
So overall, the verdict has gotten way better. We like to call this gun the I'm a Brave President weapon because you fire it off, it does nothing, and then you scream, I'm a brave president, and then you run away. So hopefully it'll actually do something. That is a Monsters vs. Aliens reference for those who didn't get that. The P4 Senator. Guys, Big Iron's back. Big Iron got a huge buff. Armor penetration from 3 to 4. So this is a heavy armor penetration weapon now. And its projectile damage went from 175 to 200. So it's doing a lot of damage per shot. And its durable damage increased from 35 to 70. So that doubled. Dude, it's so I actually got to test this out a little bit yesterday on my own. It's really good. It feels really nice. They still haven't quite fixed the visual glitch where sometimes when you're aiming down sights, there will be a floating bullet up into the left of your gun.
That's fun.
It's that is not a major issue, so whatever. They'll fix it eventually. The P11 stim pistol, the spread decreased from 30 to 5, so it's way more accurate, which is great. You don't want to you need to be able to hit things with this, because if you're spending more than 5 seconds trying to stim your teammates from a distance, what is even the point of this thing?
Yeah, you need to be able to hit those shots basically every time.
I still feel like the stim pistol is a novelty. I would love for people in the comments to prove me wrong, but we'll see. And the muzzle velocity increased from 80 to 200. So not only are you more accurate, but you're more likely to hit your target because your needles are moving faster.
We have 4 increases or buffs to throwables as well. Your throwing knives uses increased from 8 to 20, so they gave you 12 extra knives. That's kind of wild.
That's great.
The high explosive grenade damage is doubled from 400 to 800. The frag grenade also doubled from 250 to 500. Incendiary grenade also doubled from 150 to 300.
Given the damage increases on all of those, I would say they're worth using. Right now, I'm only running the thermite because I really like that heavy armor destroyer like in my back pocket, to be like, oh, a Hulk is rushing me and I can't pull out my spear because it's already in my face. I'll just stick him with a thermite.
Yeah, stick him with a thermite and dive to the side.
The autocannon, basically is completely changed. For the good, I think. It is either... It has not changed in the way that it acts. However, you can change the way it functions in programmable ammunition. You can now switch to normal or flak projectiles. So you can, if you don't want anything to change, you stick to normal projectiles and you're fine. It's going to do work. It's going to punch through the Hulk eye slots just fine. It's going to take down gunships, or the little gunship factory thingies just fine. However, now it has flak projectiles. Flak projectiles are proximity-triggered shrapnel explosions with a large explosion radius.
It's a crowd-clearing weapon.
This bad boy can kill so many Helldivers.
Actually, though.
Dude, I'm just going to say, if I see someone take the airburst rocket launcher in my team, and it is not someone directly in my party, I probably am going to kick them.
Yeah, because people are going to die.
People are going to die, and it's going to be me, and it's going to be everyone else. There's not a single instance where someone has taken the airburst rocket launcher and not killed at least 2 or 3 other Helldivers in that mission. That is its function, is to kill other Helldivers.
It's a very anti-democratic weapon.
It was designed by the bots. I'm 100% sure.
All right, moving on, we're going to talk about the recoilless rifle, or the Great Recoilless Rifle, if you're nasty. Has a new weapons function, programmable ammunition, now allows you to switch between normal and high explosive rounds. Keep in mind, high explosive rounds have a larger explosion radius, deal more explosion damage, and less projectile damage, and are less effective against tanks. So, crowd clearing weapons.
crowd clearing weapons.
Then we just got done talking about the airburst rocket launcher. The reload duration is reduced from 7 to 5, so you can kill more Helldivers per mission because you can launch more shots.
The M105 LMG Stalwart, the ergonomics have increased from 25 to 40. Honestly, the Stalwart is not going to be usable until it gets a medium armor penetration because it has light armor pen right now, and using up a stratagem cooldown for a light armor penetrating weapon is not worth it, in my opinion.
I was going to say, you start with light penetrating weapons most of the time, so why would you take a second? That just seems unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't see the Stalwart getting regular use. Honestly, literally anything else is probably a good choice except for the Stalwart, including the MG43 machine gun, which now has a magazine capacity increase from 150 to 175, so you'll have to reload less, and it gets an extra spare magazine. So this is a good gun. This is a good gun. You get it right from the very beginning, and it won't go wrong by you. It's got medium armor pen, and it'll do work for you.
We also have the MG206 heavy machine gun. The magazine capacity is increased from 75 to 100. Very nice.
Across the board, magazine increases for the rapid fire stratagems. It's good.
Fantastic.
It's a good day.
Moving on to the backpacks category. The Lift 850 jump pack, the cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds, so it now has a 15-second use time, has a stronger thrust force, and thrust vector has been tweaked, will have a slightly higher jump and more forward momentum. So overall, benefits all the way around.
The AXAR-23 Guard Dog switched from the AR-23 Liberator to the Liberator Penetrator. So it got just an overall upgrade. This is awesome. So now it has an armor penetration from 2 to 3, a damage decrease from 70 to 60, but magazine capacity increased from 30 to 45. I think overall this is still a buff.
Yep.
I'm not super thrilled about the damage decrease, but the armor pen and magazine increase is good. It's going to be able to affect more enemies more effectively more often.
Oh, and this next ability is cool. Drone backpacks now have a new toggle drone function where you can activate the drone and it goes off to perform its tasks, or you can deactivate the drone and it will return to the backpack in a passive standby state. This is really cool.
I think that's good for the guard dog where you really don't want it using up all its ammo. But for the laser version of the guard dog, you're not going to use this. Just let it do its thing. It will always have ammo.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about some changes to some stratagems. The first two is the Eagle Strafing Run and Orbital Airburst Strike. The Eagle Strafing Run explosion radius has slightly increased, and damage goes up from 250 to 350. So huge fan of this. Love the Eagle. Eagle 1 reporting in. Orbital Airburst Strike, salvos increased from 3 to 4. Duration between salvos increased from 3 to 4 seconds.
Orbital Airburst Strike honestly is really good. If you guys are looking for like a really good way to shake up your loadouts, pick the orbital strikes like gas strike, precision strike, and airburst strike because they have a really low cooldown. You'll get to use them a lot and they do work. Like the orbital airburst can kill most things. The precision strike can deal the death blow to literally anything, including buildings, some buildings that require hell bombs. I've taken out stratagem jammers with them. I've taken out the AT-AT walkers.
I was like, wait a second, you can't do that. That's cheating.
Or what am I thinking? I'm thinking the detector tower, the Eye of Sauron. Yeah, not the strat. Yeah, I was like, you can't use...
Oh, okay. So we're thinking of two completely different things. I was like, how...
It's like, wait, that's not right.
I destroyed it after I already destroyed it.
Let's move on to some sentries. I'm not a sentry fan myself, so maybe these will get better. I don't use sentries other than the defense mission where I use the mortar exclusively. Again, if I see someone run the Tesla sentry, I'm probably going to kick them. That thing is so good at killing Helldivers.
Yeah.
When we got the Tesla sentry for free the other weekend, and we were killing each other left and right. It was insane.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the machine gun sentry, it got a magazine increase from 125 to 175. Its cooldown reduced, and its lifetime is a little bit shorter. So you get to call it in more frequently. It has more ammo, but its lifetime only lasts 150 seconds. But the thing is, it's gonna use all its ammo.
Yeah.
It just is. The Gatling Sentry, basically the same thing. It's got a higher magazine capacity, up from 400 to 500. Its cooldown is 150 seconds, which is great. That's down a whole 30 seconds. And its lifetime is also reduced from 180 to 150. Again, this thing is going to burn through its ammo before its lifetime. So, yeah, you're not out a stratagem if you make it to the 150 and it disappears. That probably means you put it in a spot where it couldn't see anything. If I'm being honest, like that thing shreds through its ammo.
Yeah, pretty much. We also have changes in the rocket sentry and autocannon sentry. Very similar looking guys. Cooldowns, both of these are reduced, and lifetimes also reduced as well. So again, they're going to be able to get called down more, but they're not going to last as long. So same changes pretty much for the rocket and autocannon sentries. We also have some changes to the MD-17 anti-tank mines, the things that I've literally never called down purposefully. Sometimes if you get them for free, I'll use them. There was that one time where the game really wanted you to use anti-tank mines. I've used them like maybe once or twice. The mines are now only triggered by heavier enemies like Chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, and Hulks. Damage is increased from 800 to 2,000. Awesome. And explosion radius is decreased. Dev note here, we are working on changes to the anti-personnel and incendiary mines. However, we are not happy with the fixes. We feel that they introduced too many new problems. We will continue working on these changes and include them in a future patch. Transparency, guys, that's all we want. That's fantastic. Love that.
The Tesla Tower, I hate this thing. Reduced charge up shots cooldown from 3 to 1 second. So it fires faster, so it can kill Helldivers faster. That's great. Its cooldown is reduced, so it can kill Helldivers more often. And its lifetime is reduced from 180 to 150, which is good for Helldivers because it will disappear faster.
Sick.
Wait, so its lifetime is only 150 seconds, but its cooldown is 120. So is it possible to have more than one Tesla Tower on the field?
Yes. You'll have a 30-second overlap.
No. No, this is bad.
Yeah, this is not good. All right, coming up next, guys, we're going to talk about some gameplay changes. First one, we're going to talk about patrol spawning. Previously, once the mission was completed, but before extraction, we significantly increased patrol spawns across the entire map. Now, the increased patrol spawns are concentrated around the extraction site, with more patrols appearing the closer you are to it. This totally makes sense. This change should make patrol spawning feel more logical and reduce the penalty for players who complete the mission but still want to explore the map or collect samples. Please let us know if you experienced issues with the patrol spawning. Again, transparency, intent is out there. I'm behind this. This makes sense.
Real quick, we did skip over the shield generator relay. They removed the charge delay between damage taken. They increased the charge rate from 300 to 400 health per second, and the radius increased from 8 to 15 meters. So the bubble shield is much, much larger, and once the shield is down, it will no longer regenerate. Okay, let's talk about some changes to units. So the Terminids, the Bile Spewers, so these are the ones with kind of the giant back ends. Their leg...
It's an abdomen, brother.
I'm not a nerd. I'm not a bug nerd.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
I'm not... Their leg health has been reduced from 300 to 200, so they're easier to kill. Nursing Spewers, which are a similar type of enemy, again, leg health reduced from 300 to 200. Their thighs were too thick. The Hunters have a short shared area cooldown for their Pounce ability, which I think that means they won't gang up on you, which is great.
Yeah, you won't get like 17 of them pouncing and pouncing and pouncing and pouncing over and over and over again.
Which is great as a person who mains primarily explosive weapons, because I always have to switch to my sidearm and be like, oh no, oh no, oh no. That's actually why I usually carry the Verdict or the Flame Pistol on Terminated missions, because I'm like, I get a ton of use out of it because of things like hunters. They swarm me and I just spray the ground with either fire or lead. And now they can now totally blow up if affected with enough damage.
Same with the scavengers. Apparently they were not destructible enough. People were not happy with the level of gore, so they fixed it.
Cool. Nathan, let's go into the automatons.
All right, so automaton targeting projectiles are both getting changes. So automaton targeting, some enemies were able to shoot at you without needing proper line of sight. Yeah, we noticed, which caused them to fire into or through walls, track you even when hidden, or ignore smoke effects. We've addressed these issues, so now you should be able to use stealth more effectively against the automatons, and they won't be able to shoot you through walls and see you when they shouldn't. Please let us know if you encounter issues like these. Automaton projectile changes. Normal small projectile damage reduced from 40 to 35, used by enemies like the Devastators, Emplacements, and Conscripts. Heavy projectile damage reduced from 65 to 60, used by enemies like Heavy Emplacements and Scout Striders. Man, I felt like I was getting just bodied by those shots, so the fact that those are both going down is really good. We also have changes to the Hulk Bruiser in response to their disapproval of the newly installed cannon on the automaton Hulk Bruisers. Super Earth High Command sent a crack commando to sabotage their production facilities. The skilled operative promptly escaped into the shadows after completing their missions. Today, still wanted by the automatons, they survived as a soldier of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can enlist John Helldiver. As a result, the automatons had to revert back to using the rocket launchers for their Hulk Bruisers. They dialed it back. Very nice.
Yeah, they're like, we heard the community feedback. Bunch of you whiners.
I was one of the whiners. I got killed a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean it was pretty powerful. But I mean we're exclusively playing on difficulties 8, 9, and 10. So I'm like, I don't know, man. Hard is hard. It already felt good that they dialed back on the missile barrages, so only dying like once every minute instead of once every 30 seconds. I was like, this feels so much better.
Absolutely.
All Devastators, their head armor has decreased from 2 to 1, so shoot them in the face. Their head health increased from 100 to 110, so not really a huge increase. I mean, their armor came down, so it's still a net loss of durability in their face. Berserkers, head health decreased from 125 to 110. Again, shoot them in the face. The Heavy Devastator, the pause between their salvos has been slightly increased, providing Helldivers with a better opportunity to counterattack. Thank the Lord.
They were just whipping those salvos out. Like, they were quick.
They were just whipping it out and whipping it around. That way we can counterattack and, say it with me, shoot them in the face. All tanks, front armor reduced from 6 to 5. Our previous tweak didn't have the intended effect on gameplay that we expected, so we reverted this back. Cool beans. The rear weak spots of the tank's body now have their own health pool, which matches the tank's previous total health. Once this health pool is depleted, the tank will be destroyed. Additionally, these weak spots also deal 150% damage to the tank's main health. That's a little confusing to me why they would do it like that, but it seems like it's easier to kill now. Shoot it in the back where the tank is more vulnerable, and it will kill the tank faster.
Some changes to the Annihilator tank turrets and Shredder tank turrets, which I get killed by a lot. The rear weak spot of the tank's body now has its own health pool, which matches the tank's total previous health. Once the health pool is depleted, the tank is destroyed. Additionally, the weak spots will also deal 200 damage to the tank's main health. That is the exact same change we just read from Andrew, except instead of 150% damage taken, it's 200% damage taken to the damage's main health. Basically, I think in normal translation, that means the Annihilator tank and the Shredder tank, their own weak spot does more damage to them.
Cool. Makes sense.
Thick.
And then the Barrager tank turret is now destroyed if the tank body is destroyed, which makes sense. Or actually, it doesn't make sense that wasn't happening before.
Yeah, the turret was apparently not getting destroyed. That's weird.
Boo. Some fixes. They resolve some top priority issues where not enough enemies spawn to complete eradicate missions. I had never encountered that, but that's sucky.
That would be annoying.
Some enemies were able to shoot at you without needing proper line of sight. That happened to me a lot. That was super annoying. This caused them to fire into or through walls, track you even when hidden, and ignore smoke effects. Seriously, that was so annoying. Patrol spawning should now feel more logical and reduce the penalty for players who complete the mission but still want to explore the map or collect samples. So now, since things are going to start spawning in and around extract, it's going to be harder to extract, but it's going to be more rewarding for you to explore the map and get those collectibles, which is great as a mostly free-to-play player who doesn't want to buy super credits but wants super credits. Like, this is great.
Yes. We also have some crash fixes and soft locks. They fixed a crash that could occur when the player is knocked back while wearing the energy shield backpack. Fixed a potential crash when a peer leaves with unique armor customization. I didn't know that was what was happening, but I've had people leave games before and then the game crashes and you're like, cool, I guess everyone's restarting now, and just some other various crash fixes as well. We have some miscellaneous fixes where fixed bugs where Helldivers wearing heavy armors would be immune to gas status effect. Did not know that that was a something to exploit, but now it's gone. And General Brash returns from holiday retreat in foggy hillside town. What the hell does that even mean?
I have no idea what that means.
We also have some known issues that are going to go through. There's top priority and medium priority issues. Guys, you can read the end of the patch notes yourself because we are actually coming up to the end of the episode here. So, Andrew, I think we have done something that we've done quite a few times on this show before, is we have bitten off more than we can chew. It is about 50 minutes into the recording, and we have not talked about Warhammer Tabletop at all. So I think, and I would suggest that we make that into a separate episode so the folks can get a detailed and well thought out response to the balance update, points changes, and all the new Munitorum field manuals and things like that. Do you agree?
I agree.
Fantastic. So with that, guys, we are going to close it out. Thank you guys so much for listening here today. We're sorry we couldn't get to everything we wanted to. There's a lot of changes happening into the games that we are streaming throughout the week, Space Marine 2 and Helldivers 2. So very applicable to what we do here at the show. So thank you guys so much for watching. Huge shout out to our patrons, who, especially those of you who like hop into our streams. Super thankful that you guys do that. It's super fun to hang out with our patrons. So if you guys want to as well, patrons are welcome to game with us on our streams. That's why we have the Discord that's specifically for them. It's super fun. So big thanks to Mike, Isaac, David, and Calm Brew. You guys are all fantastic, and you guys are the reasons we are able to do this. So if you guys are listening, please support us on Patreon for $5 a month. It is less than a fancy PSL or whatever you're drinking this season, and it really does help us do more here over at the show. We want to do more giveaways, gaming events, and we want to do more content, and we are waiting for money to come in so that we can access the things that we need to access. So please make sure you guys do that. So if you guys are able to support us on Patreon, if for some reason you can't, follow us and subscribe on YouTube. That seriously helps us out. Watch our videos, guys. Once we hit that partner level, we can start making a little bit of money on YouTube as well. That does not cost you anything, but it does support us quite a bit. Thank you guys, every single one of you, for watching. Every single one of you guys is amazing. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns about the balance changes to Helldivers 2 or Space Marine 2, please let us know in the comments to the video, or shoot us an email at talkabouttatooine@gmail.com. We'll feature those questions on air, so that way you guys get your questions answered directly from us. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe so the video gets pushed into the feeds of other people. We really like chatting with more of you nerds. You guys are all fantastic. And until next time, may the Emperor and Super Earth protect.